Yo, what up guys, so in today's video what I want to do is explain to you what you need to get familiar with to get a head start in cybersecurity or ethical hacking or CTF, whatever you're trying to do. This will give you a head start if you're a beginner or maybe sort of an advanced user, maybe you know what you're doing and maybe you didn't find something on the internet or wherever you were taught. So actually the stuff I know, not many universities or colleges will teach you this. I don't know why they won't teach you that, but whatever. So the first thing I want to do is basically thank you all of you guys for 1,200 subscribers. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the feedback. I get messages on Twitter all the time. And if you need anything, you can always contact me on Twitter. I do recommend doing this now because once I get to a certain number, I might not be able to respond to all of the messages I get. So if you want to ask me anything, I suggest you do it now. And that's, to be honest, I think that's all I wanted to say, I think. So the first thing you need to get familiar with is, I would suggest getting familiar with Nmap. Nmap is a very, very powerful tool if you know what you're doing. So actually, let me just do one thing. Right, so Nmap is a networking tool and a scanning tool used by professionals and by hackers because it's an open source tool, which means anybody can download it and use it anytime they want. So, and obviously change it as well. So what we need to do is basically run an Nmap scan. And what we're gonna do is, if you've ever used Nmap before, you're gonna find that this is not gonna work. Why does it not work? I've said this before and I'm just going to tell you again, just maybe in case you don't know it. So the reason is because this requires sudo privileges. What is root? What is sudo? What is this? Sudo is basically administrator rights or higher. Root is basically the top of the hierarchy. It's above administrator. Root. Now, whenever you play the games, you know that some like the head administrators call themselves root because root are they're the top dogs in the game, right? So if you do sudo nmap all, right, and you put IP address, which is this, you're gonna get basically a result. This time it's gonna work. As soon as this is starting, it's working, right? Unless you put maybe the IP address wrong or something, it'll tell you. So as you can see, we get a scan result. Now this is my own Kali machine, so it doesn't actually tell you it's Kali. Yeah, it doesn't tell you it's Kali. It just says Linux, right? Which is also important. This is the most piece of information. So we get a scan result. I'm not going to go through everything like, right? But what I want to tell you is this, because this is very important. The ports are important. The information is important. The operating system detail is important. And anything here you see is important. Well, apart from maybe the host is up, maybe, right? That's not very important, right? So, well, obviously it's up because it gave us a result. If it would not be up, it would be like a free line scan, free result. Sorry, I would say like host is not up, try PN or something like that, right? I can't remember what exactly it says. So what we need to do is basically, now this gives us all information. If you ever do CTFs, you will know that this is important information. Now, obviously, there's not much we can do about this. SSH is not really something you can brute force. You can, but good luck. I've tried it before. I've been trying to brute force SSH for 3 hours. It did not work. So good luck to you. Maybe you'll be more luckier than me. Maybe you have more luck than me. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is basically Linux is this is very, very key information, because if it says Windows, then we can only do so much for Windows and we can only do so much for Linux. What do I mean? You cannot run a Windows exploit for Linux, can you? Because it's two completely different operating system. It's two completely different exploits that you can run, right? Linux by default, it comes with Python. Windows doesn't come by default with Python. You need to install Python additionally on Windows. So which means that if I'm running Python on my operating system, I can run any Python exploit, right? And it might work. It might not, it might work. You can't do the same thing for Windows unless you have Python pre-installed, right? Now, also important information, because I don't think many people know this, especially the beginners. Let me just do one more thing. Right, so as you can see, I'm running the scan again. And in a second, I'm going to get a result. There we go. So as you can see, it says port 22, and we've got one more port running. Port 80 TCP Open HTTP Apache. If it says this, that means we're running a web server. If it says port 80, 99% of the time it's a web server, right? Because port 80 is HTTP. And if it says port 333, it is a website as well, right? Because these are the ports used for HTTPS and HTTP, which is used by web services, right? So if you go on the browser, not on the website. If you go on HTTP and you go to 130, it gives us a website. Now, obviously, this is a Apache to Debian website, which there's nothing on it because this is my Kali website. So you won't find anything really important or very cool to find here. But it's just something to keep a note of about Apache or about Nmap, because this will be very, very key whenever you're running websites. Now, sometimes the websites can be on much more ports. So what you need to do is run an Nmap scan that will allow you to scan even further, right? So what you need to do is run exactly this command, and this will give you the first, I think, 5,000 ports, or it scans every single port in the world. So if you're stuck and for some reason it doesn't maybe show you and you're supposed to have a website, unless you need to put your website into hosts, the first thing you need to do is basically, if you don't get any websites and you are pretty sure that there should be a website on the IP address or under that switch, you need to do sudo nmap st. Make sure you put, obviously, as I put it, you need to put it the same, apart from the IP address, which needs to be different, right? I don't think we need sudo, but I just put sudo just so I don't need to put my password in, or it doesn't ask me for sudo. So make sure that if you're not getting any ports within the 1000 range, you put ST, capital T, and PP, 192.168, whatever the IP address, I don't know what your IP address could be, right? The second thing I want to show you is, if you ever having problems with any program, what you do is put the program name. So, for example, I want to look for, what could I use? Let's use Hashcat, right? I'm having problems with Hashcat. I cannot get Hashcat to run. What do I do? Either use the internet, what you do is -H, right? As you can see, it gives you a help file, which is about, I think it's like 2 pages long, right? And it gives you an example as well. If you don't know how to use it exactly, we can do, if you cannot get -H to run, what you do is -help. It does the same thing. Well, if you ever run a lot of hacking tools, what you'll find that there's like 2 variations. -H or -- and the full word, right? That is the 2 variations in ethical hacking, or in Linux distributions, whatever, right? Right, the second tool is you might want to use MSFConsole. MSFConsole is one of the most beginner tools. Everyone uses MSFConsole because it's a very, very powerful tool and it works very, very well. So, for example, MSFConsole is, as I said this before, right? But if you don't know what MSFConsole is, basically it's a database of exploits, and it's a very, very powerful program. It contains about, if I just checked them in now, it contains about 2,300 exploits, which is fucking a lot, right? Oh, sorry, it contains much more. I don't know how that works. So nearly 3,000 exploits. I'm pretty sure that's not the full list. 3,000 exploits. Let me just run again. Yeah, 3,000 exploits, right? So 3,000 exploits is, as you may think, it's a big number. Now, I would recommend getting familiar with all of this. What does mean exploit? What does auxiliary mean? What does scanner mean? What does excellent mean? What does yes mean? What does this mean? Everything here is very, very important, right? As you can see, there's PE, DLL, there's UAC, where UAC stands for user access control. There's many, many things you should get familiar with. I would suggest getting familiar with all this. There's also payloads. Let me just put it in payloads. As you can see, there's about 80 payloads. I think that's not even the full list. That's not a full list, I'm pretty sure. There's many payloads, right? Right. One of the most actually fun or basically 99% of chance working is MS17. So that's a Windows exploit. Make sure you, obviously, if you're exploiting Linux, as I said, this is why Nmap is also important. If you want to run an exploit, you need to make sure that you're running Linux or Windows or Mac, whatever you're trying to do. But you need to make sure that it says, unless it says multi will work for anything, right? So as you can see, MS17, Eternal Blue, SMB, Remote Windows, Kernel Pool Corruption, which is basically working on any system. And you have about 99% chance of working. It works between Windows 7 and Windows 8, I'm pretty sure, including Windows 10. However, I don't think I've tried on Windows 10, but I'm confident it works on Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, so Server 2012, and many other systems that are basically in these between this range. Now, it will definitely not work Windows 11 because Windows 11 is one of the most secure systems right now on Windows. And Windows 11 is very, very, being constantly updated, basically constantly maintained, so it's not really easy to hack into. Obviously, it's possible if you don't keep your cybersecurity hygiene very well, which I have told you how to keep your cybersecurity hygiene before. Make sure you watch my past videos because I gave you plenty of information in every of my videos. Sorry, I said that correctly, I think. Right. So the next thing I want to show you is, let me just make this smaller, Hashcat and JohnTheRipper. John, help. There we go. Let me just go at the top. There we go. Let me just show you what these tools are. Now these tools sort of go together, right? Because what happens is if you get a hash password, right? If you get a hash password, what you can do is either use Hashcat to crack the hash, or what you might do is sort of get a hash from JohnTheRipper, then use Hashcat to crack the password. So basically, whatever you have, there could be a lot of things. You can use John to crack the password, or you might need to use Hashcat to crack the password. There's a lot of things. You might go between these two tools to hack the password. You might even use the internet to hack, because there's a website called, I will show you right now. Go to DuckDuckGo.com. Right. If you go to Hashcat, if you do, basically there's code, either you can actually, something for CTFs as well is Hackstation, is it called? Let me see. Yes, CrackStation, sorry, CrackStation. This is basically for CTS, basically, right? If you're trying to crack maybe this is up to non-salted hashes. If you're trying, as you can see, it says supports MD5, MD1, SHA-1, SHA-224, SHA-256, SHA-384, SHA-512. There's a lot of hashes that you can crack, right? So you can use your Kali Linux system, or you can use the free password hash cracker, which is a very, very good tool. It's pretty quick, so I would say if you're running something quick and you run a website, why don't you use this? If you're running a lot of hashes, make sure you run Hashcat because it's very, very powerful as well. Obviously, Hashcat uses your computer resources. The website uses its own server resources. So that's the difference. JohnTheRipper is used to usually crack the passwords as well. It's a very, very good tool. So you make sure you check both of these tools out, because they are very, very powerful and something you should get familiar with as well, right? Let's go to websites and let me show you some of the most important websites that you should get familiar with. So the first website, as I said, is Hackstation. I just showed you a second ago. But how about we go back to exploiting and we go to, what was it called? Exploit database. There we go. I got the name. Exploit database. There we go. This is the website you're looking for. Oh, actually, sorry, it's actually bookmarked here. I'm a dummy. It's bookmarked here, right here at the top. And now there's two Google hacking databases and exploit databases. Now you're not hacking into Google. You're not. You're just basically Google dorking, right? So what this means, you might find a special website, or like, as you can see, account number, you might find on Google, right? As you can see, it says files containing juicy information. As you can see, it says some sensitive information disclosure, PCE ping, which is Wireshark, server configuration, configuration PHP. Now this is all juicy. As you can see, there's 8,000 entries. So this is one of the websites you should get familiar with. Now, no one showed me this website. That's why I'm showing you this website, because no one decided to show me this. Not even my college. I just found it on the website. And as you can see, I just actually found out this out. We have a Microsoft 11, it's been about 2 months ago. It has been found, DLL hijacking force. But this website is basically ExploitDB is a very, very big tool, right? Because what happens is, for example, maybe we're looking for, let's look for Apache 2.4. As you can see, it has Apache. Let's use this one. Now this is 2007, it's very, very old. But what happens is, this is an exploit that you can download. You can just download the whole code. And what you can do is run it on a certain website or something, whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be this, it can be anything, right? It can be for Linux, for websites. So as you can see, it says, an attacker might exploit this issue to steal cookie-based authentication credentials and launch other attacks, right? As you can see, it gives you a code. You don't really need to do anything for this one. You just need to run it for a certain IP address for a website and it will work. Now, this doesn't have 100% guarantee working, so don't get your hopes up if something doesn't work. Please don't be unsatisfied. It is by about, I've run a couple of exploits of this website, and I think I've run like 5 so far, and 3 of them worked, right? Or two or 3 worked. So you have about 60% chance right now of exploits working, right? So 68% doesn't sound a lot, but if you think about it, if you don't have any other choice, and you find this website with 46,000 exploits, nearly 50,000 actually, nearly 50,000 exploits, that is a very, very big helpful tool. Because some of these exploits MSFConsole has, but not all of them, because if you think about it, integrating 50,000 exploits into MSFConsole might take a lot of time. So, plus it would weigh a lot, because 50,000 exploits is obviously, doesn't contain a lot, because it's just a piece of code. But some of these codes, I think it's this one, no, not this one, maybe this one. Yeah, as you can see, this one's quite big, right? Obviously it has space, but if you think about it, some of these are like 10 times longer than this, 10 times longer than this exploit, right? So it is something you need to keep a note of, that this might not work. You might have to play around. Plus, but if you're running exploits, you need to basically learn. Now this is Python, as you can see, because it tells you Python, plus I recognize the import requests because I program in Python, right? So Python is sort of, you should use Python, because I think most of these exploits are programmed in Python. So I would suggest getting familiar with Python. You can obviously search anything here. We can search, let's say, WordPress, right? You can see WordPress. Now, I don't think you can yeah, you can actually, by date. Now, this is the oldest exploit. Holy shit, that's a very, very old WordPress. Very, very old WordPress. What's it called? WordPress version, right? So now this is one of the most recent one. It says now, if you go for, it says download exploit vulnerable application, and it says verified. If it doesn't say verified, I'm pretty sure verified means that it's not verified by the administrator of the website, which means it might not work. But what I like to say is, if you don't try it, you will never know. So you should definitely, you can actually check here, verified. And yeah, but you should still run it, right? Because if it's here, I guess it works. People would not just put it for fun, just to make fun of you. Make sure what you're running, by the way, is definitely something you are capable of running on your system, so you don't run some virus, because you never know what. I don't know if this exploit database has any sort of verification system. I don't know if anybody goes through that code. So make sure that whatever you're running is something that you're capable of running, and you don't get a virus on your system, or something you don't want to run, or some kind of ransomware, right? So another, actually, just leading up to this, that's why I'm actually talking about reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is one of the most important tools. However, for WordPress scanning, because some of the websites for CTF you're gonna run or for exploitation labs, what you're gonna do is run WordPress. So I think I put that wrong. Yep. So as you can see, we're gonna run is WordPress scan. WordPress scan is very, very useful. WordPress scan allows you to scan the URL, allows you to basically run some additional help. For example, you can brute force. I would use Hydra for brute forcing. Hydra is another tool which I'll show you is for brute forcing. Right, and it allows you to get plugins and some other exploits. It allows you to get some, I don't know how to do that. It allows you to basically get a lot of information. Now, I don't have a WordPress website to show you, but WordPress scan is something you need to get familiar with. It's very, very good. I don't recommend brute forcing using WordPress scan because I don't think it's very, very, very good. I would suggest using Hydra because Hydra is one of the best tools for brute forcing or hacking into accounts. Hydra is something you need to also get familiar with. Like anything in this video, you need to get familiar with. If you're a beginner, I do recommend. So Hydra is a very, very good tool. Hydra allows you to basically, it has a lot of options, but the most basically switches you're going to use is possibly this one. For example, allows you to brute force FTP, SSH, stuff like that. As I said, this should be your last resort because Hydra, it can take a long time. As I said, I run SSH brute forcing for 3 hours. I did not get the password. So, you know, that's why hacking sometimes takes a long time because, yeah, it can take a long time, especially if your computer is not a very, very good one, right? If your computer is not very good, doesn't have a good processor, doesn't have a lot of RAM, it can get a bit sketchy in terms of doing stuff. Not sketchy, I mean like sort of annoying. That's what I meant to say, annoying, right? Now, I don't really have anything to brute force as well, so unfortunately I can't show you, but I'm pretty sure I showed you how to run Hydra. Hydra is very, very useful to run because it gives you an example at the end of the page. Another thing I want to show you is Burpsuite. Now, Burpsuite is something I will just show you briefly because Burpsuite is a very, very, not difficult, but it takes its time. You need to take some time to learn Burpsuite. And while this loads, I'm going to show you Gobuster or DirBuster. So we're just going to close this for a second. I'm going to show you Gobuster and DirBuster. Yeah, so DirBuster and Gobuster are, as you can see, DirBuster is a part of OWASP. If you know, OWASP is sort of a security website that has exploits and it tells you how to secure stuff. It's pretty useful. As you can see, it says web application brute forcing. What does this? It will brute force directories and it has a lot of tools. Now, Gobuster is the same thing, allows you to scan. I showed you how to use Gobuster before. And as you can see, it allows you to go TIR, it goes to fuzz, it allows you to get TFTP, allows you to get versions vhost, allows you different things, different switches or commands that you should get familiar with. All of this is very, very useful, especially when you're trying to get maybe a login page, which is secret, and that secret login page allows you to get further. Maybe they're using default credentials. The default credentials can be then exploited to get an administrator website, and then once you get, for example, I showed you in the last video how to get a PHP shell, which then you can get a PHP shell to exploit further, right? And then you can go and get escalate your privileges to get root, and then you can get the root flags or whatever you need to get. And let's go to Burpsuite. Burpsuite basically is like, not really like Gobuster, but allows you to also, it's a very, very good tool. Now I'm just going to show you briefly what it does. So if I go to my Foxy proxy, which I don't think I've installed, never mind, I don't have Foxy proxy installed. So I'm going to have to take open browser. Now something I need to show you guys, which I have actually found out, I can't remember where I found this from. But if for whatever reason your website doesn't work on Burpsuite and it gives you a, let me just cancel this. Oh, it opened anyway. So if it says, like example, if you try to open browser and it says that the sandbox is not allowing whatever, it says sandbox something, right? Swigger is not allowing because sandbox is not turned on or something like that. All you need to do is go to, oh, never mind, because I can't, it's not the same. But what will happen is sandbox. There we go, sorry. So what we need to do is find, now this is I think of an older version of, or it's on, I'm pretty sure it's an older version of Burpsuite that I used to run on the CTFs. So what you need to do is go to settings, go to sandbox and run Burpsuite browser without a sandbox. Now as you can see, it says that not scanning hostile website without the sandbox increases the risk of your local system being compromised. However, if you're running this on a try hack me website or hack the box or any other website, you don't need to worry because it's on cloud. It has nothing to do with you. You're just connected to it. Nothing will happen to your machine. However, just to make sure, I would recommend running a firewall, right? So run a firewall that is strong. Never turn your firewall off. So these are the basically tools now. Right, so hope you enjoyed this video. It's just basically a head start, the tools you need to get familiar with on Kali Linux, and hopefully I helped you a little bit in getting to run CTFs or bug bounty, because some people been asking me how to run. This is your tools you need to get familiar with. The more you get familiar with these tools, the easier it will be for you. So see you in the next video, guys, and thank you for watching, and see you in a couple days.